Sanibonani, ninjani? Igama lami uNtando Wamthiyane. Before I even proceed or before we go any further, ngicela ukuthi you are highly blessed ukuthi you've just tuned in le video le. Ukuthi nje ubona le video le iyodwa kusho ukuthi you are blessed because you are about to perceive knowledge that is a must that you also must impart. Okay, siqaleni. Ulwazi. Okay, obviously owamanje awakazi ukuthi yini leyo Ulwazi, but it has that logo Ulwazi. Okay, abusayikhohlwa lento after this. Okay, so yini kahle Ulwazi? Okay, first of all ake ngichaze ukuthi why specifically the name Ulwazi, ukuthi why ikhethwe leli gama specifically. This is because after usu engaged nale video, we understand the pitch, we understand the content and context about this program, because the program there to understand ukuthi what its objectives is about, and obviously so it will be like you are going to be in a position like uzobe feel like it's okay, or now it is knowledge, it's easy digestible knowledge, it's it's processable knowledge now, but that is bukhuluma ngayo la. Okay, siyenene yini lolwazi. Not even sure ngithathe position right la ukwenza le picture, but anyway kubalekile ukuthi is for you to get this. Okay, lolwazi is an open-ended. Okay, ingxolela kancane bengithi ukungengisa kancane, I started a lot, so bezelana nje. Okay, Lwalul is an open-ended organization or movement rather that aims to break the cycle that has been ongoing for all past years till now, of factors influencing the rate at which students drop out from tertiary. Ulwazi that is concerned about, okay, ukuphuma abafundi tertiary they drop out bengaqeda ama-studies abo. Okay, graduates for professions with low job markets that are unemployed, and all related ongoing problems by simply giving sufficient knowledge that is possible there to know for everyone with interest. Okay, Mrs. Kumama graduates was umuntu graduated a certain profession but akasebenzi, unemployed, usendaweni right again. So basically Ulwazi feels there is so much knowledge that has to be unpacked for learners in matric and even before matric, so that when it comes to study application to tertiary, it's much more easier and fundamentally understandable for learners to control the very same factors Ulwazi is concerned about in affecting students that they even drop out. Okay, so Tina la Ulwazi, or basically Ulwazi thina ithi ifile ngazuthi izizwa ngazuthi there is so much knowledge iningi into ka-matric, especially in public schools ka-matric, iningi into insights ne-enlightenment engashiwo noma engachaziwe, enga-unpackiwe kahle for you or for someone who is in matric, ukuthi athi mase esekhetha ukuthi yini afuna ukuyifundela, kodwa akhethe in a right way, abe safe. Uzokwazi ukuthi why ngithi abe safe as time goes on. Okay, number two, on the other hand, for graduates to study all these years and end up not being employed for what they graduated for. Okay, so phinde futhi sithethe ngale indaba yokuthi ngoba isi-content manje Ulwazi kahle iyayibuka lento iyenzeka from generation to generation kwenzakala into eyodwa but thina sifila ngathi there are factors that can be controlled ukuthi sekwenzakaleni zizama ukuthi sibreak leyo cycle. Okay, that's Lwalul we have realized and became conscious about the psyche of individuals. By individuals, I'm referring to learners, graduates, dropouts, bonke labantu that this organization or movement rather is concerned about. Okay, undergoing the very same experience from generation to generation. Okay, this movement organization rather is for everyone old enough to understand it. Okay, because its objective is something that has to do with the desire of accumulating education. So wonke umuntu lana bathinteka into njengamanje. So mase usuyibonile ngale video nawe vele you are a container lento, because even if ngathiwa awufundi, ngathiwa awukho interested in education, but people around your circle, abantu bakini bazoyidinga le knowledge ukuthi bezame ucontrol the very same factors. Yabo, abantu abaziyo obakhathalelayo abasafuna a better future, nakhona la siyasebenza. Okay, so now Lwalul is said to be open-ended simply because it has no limit when it comes to its objective assistance. Okay, meaning Lwalul is open to being assistant to any direction as long as it's growing and effective. Okay, so the organization movement rather is said to be open-ended because masekuziwa kwizathu lezi vele zenza ukuthi the organization invent. We have no limits. Assistance idinga assistance, so it can be any assistance of any kind as long as it grows this foundation or organization or movement rather, you can call it, but this is a genuine and pure movement. Okay, assistance can be of any kind, but highly effective assistance will be financial assistance obviously, as well as platform widening assistance for this knowledge to be heard. So platform isikhulu sebafethu mase usuyibonile utshela amazi, utshela atshela amazi atshela amazi, sobonakele manje yasetshenzwa manje. Okay, so this movement organization rather is for everyone. Okay, okay, the big concern is that of learners from school that are positioned in rural geographic areas, because the factors that Ulwazi will be discussing have so much effect and impact to those learners. So it's isikhathazeka kakhulu ngabafundi laba abasey'koleni that are positioned in so inkinga ekhona yona le ey'kole esithina ngokwesiZulu zisemakhaya that are positioned in rural areas, ngoba izona esicabanga ukuthi they are highly affected by the very same factors they were about to discuss la ebalulwazi la uzama ukuwa-control. Okay, we are very broad on the balance between academics and social. Hence, the Ulwazi also serves as a psychological therapy, because it is a platform where everyone gets diagnosed of his or her academical problems, because now they can relate. Okay, so it will cover all aspects. It's sizokhuluma academics and sikhulume social parts. Okay, lastly, since this organizational movement is about education, then Lwalul indirectly encourages and emphasizes people to want to have their own experience about social institutions. So it's like back to back. So as much as sikhuluma ngayo yonke lento and siyenza, but all in all, education, and it's all about education. So at the very same time as sikhuluma tertiary experience, ngemuva futhi sobe zama encourage futhi. So this thing yenza izinto ukuthi ngikhathi sodwa izobe encourage futhi at the same time ukuthi to wants to go to tertiary and have his or her own experience of tertiary institutions. Yeah, well, okay, I see some objectives now. Okay, what are objectives? Number one, advices in career choices, study career choices. Number two, what to expect in tertiary in advance. Okay, number three, real talk on social influence. Ama-objectives lawo izinto lolwazi efuna ezozenza nefuna ukuzenza nenhloso yayo. Okay, healthy expected balance at tertiary, emphasis on acquiring of knowledge. Okay, and this one the last one. Also unpack kahle. Advices in study career choices. Here the organization will be giving choices on how to choose a profession you are willing to study for. We'll be looking at things like how is the job market for the chosen career, which institution that might be the best career choice platform for you to study the chosen career of you. So basically the institution, it can be, okay, for example, asenhlambe ufuna ukufunda mechanical engineering yabo, so mina will advise you ukuthi the best tertiary institution for that why it is the University of Technology, you know, because that is a technical. So basically we advise there. Okay, what to expect in tertiary in advance. Okay, learner here we will be focusing exactly on the factors that impacts on the student dropping out. We'll be touching on things like medium of communication, one of the factors, communicate at tertiary, quayona effect. These are the things that affect a student irregardless or singakhulumi ngama-studies akhe ukuthi how is he or she doing ngama-studies akhe. Sakhuluma ngama-factors on its own that are effective. Okay, venue orientation. Okay, gadgets and electronic appliances. Okay, for that one, yeah, gadgets and electronic appliances. Okay, so lapho ke so sisikhuluma, okay, laphana indlela okukhuluma ngayo is ayifani nase high school obviously. So mufika laphana safanele uqale ujwayele lokho, just get to adapt to that before anything else. Khona you don't want to miss out noma ngabe yini imalini. Okay, healthy expected balance. Learners will be dwelling on how to balance your academics as well as your social experience. Okay, emphasis on acquiring of knowledge. Okay, Ulwazi itself seeks knowledge for it to be effective. For it to be open-ended, still encourages the fact that you can never be full of knowledge, but we say you can only be familiar with certain knowledge. Okay, so therefore we speak highly of living spaces for new schemata. Okay, so we are open-minded. Hlezi sifuna ulwazi olusha, new knowledge, because ayikho into esingayenza ngaphandle kokwazi. So how Ulwazi intends to operate. Okay, thina sifuna ukusebenza kanjani Ulwazi ifuna ukusebenza kanjani. Initiative, they will start by podcasting the movement, you know, for the movement to start moving. So a podcaster, we intend to have YouTube episodes with context phenomenon. Okay, by context phenomenon, I'm referring to graduates, dropouts, post-matriculates, and so forth, where they will be sharing all their experienced knowledge for the target audience to impart sufficient knowledge. Okay, so pioneers to these guys. It's either the learners abasesesikoleni, or else the graduates that are unemployed, or for the people who are still going to study the wrong career choices. So my pioneers who are now unemployed but bama-graduate. So uthola i-experience kubona ne-knowledge, lokhu kuzoba kungabasiza kakhulu. So there will be no limits on guests, because we're trying to cover all diversity experience that has to do with education, okay, tertiary per se. In these sessions, everything will be covered. We're talking socially, academically, and mostly some advice. So physical visitations to school are also on the agenda, but mostly schools that are in rural areas. Yeah, siyafisa ukuthi Ulwazi ihambe ney'kole physically ifike yona kanje, like practically ifike ihambe ey'koleni and just share the knowledge and also engage learners in a podcast, because so sesingekho physically, but so sesanawo usa-engagile nathi in a podcast ukuthi ayithole knowledge. Okay, so that's where now that's where and when assistance comes in, mostly government assistance, political hand per se, for this movement to be effective. So I always feel like for process to speed up, you gotta go the political way. So I always feel like politics serves as a catalyst. Science learners, the science students will understand why it serves as a catalyst, because it speeds up the process. And this process right here is something that has to be, attended to, and they took share food. Okay, so we're also in other form of assistance now we can be appreciated now. They are highly appreciated now. I'm going to shout to a reference. One reference Lwalul as a plaque or something, so on. So we're also open to cooperative investments, okay, of any such, of any kind, of as long as it makes this movement grow and effective, then I say on. So it's Lwalul as we are more knowledge and enlightenment. We already know knowledge is power. Now you just have to understand it beyond knowing it. Okay. Now these are the measures. Lwalul will be operating under these measures: 70% language of African origin and 30% of the English. So it's 70% language of African origin, and then it's 30% English, for all good reasons. That was in case it is. Okay, now for references. These are the references. Whenever you feel like you might have something for Ulwazi, contact email lwalululwazi@gmail.com. Ulwazi@gmail.com. So it's personal line, okay, but it's lwalululwazi@gmail.com. That's a reference whenever you want to contact Ulwazi. And there's also an alternative account email, dando672@gmail.com. So it's